Welcome, welcome back, and welcome to those who is your first time. Glad you decided to join us. I'm Jay.Drewz, also known as the Blue Ray Prophet, along with the Black Sun Shaman T. Manu L. And you've tuned in to Beyond the Veil, an unusual podcast. Boy, is it an unusual podcast. Ah, yeah, absolutely. Just wanted to say thank you all who's been loyal to us for the last three years or so. Um, this is what season 3 actually. Yeah, this will be the third year with this podcast. Um, Grateful to all the supporters, the subscribers. Please continue to like and share, and those who are new, please subscribe so we can add you to the team and keep you apprised of all of the things, ahead, the things that we should be focused on in mindful health and spirit wise. What's going on, my brother? This is, the
Man, glad to
kickoff of
be in the
season 3.
building. Glad to be in the building and glad to bringing clarity for this third year. I know we talking about the floods today, and I know that's been on everybody's mind. What's been going on with them? So I'm looking forward to exploring some possibilities.
Absolutely. So we did an episode, probably over a year ago now,
Yeah,
and we brought some not so new information, but it may have been new to a lot of the audience at the time. We dealt with the wind, the water, and the wheels. So this is part 2, teaser. We're not going to give you everything, as we found that we have some jackers, some some
yeah,
some admirers. I guess they say the highest form of flattery, but I say it's the highest form of hijacking and thievery. We haven't been getting credit for a lot of the content that we've been, bringing forth that's turned into trending topics, and you know, completely plagiarized and verbatim, non-credited quotations. So hopefully you'll find this at very least entertaining. Shout out to the Schwabel Room, my guys from the Yo. You know, you know what it is. Old man, Sauce Griddle. You know, Mr. Ed Lover. Shout out to my other partner. Handsome Mandela. Hope you're doing well, brother. As we approach a new fiscal business year. As you know, our new year, we keep it indigenous around here. Our new year
yes,
isn't
yes,
until
indeed.
springtime. So,
This is the
to
time
those,
for release. This is the time
yeah,
for release. This is releasing
yes,
all of that old stuff, releasing all of them old habits, releasing all of them old mindsets, and
yeah,
dealing with those things as you have time in the house because of the code. You deal with your issues and release them. And then we celebrate the change of the season, the new year, a little bit later on. But for this
facts.
right now, the veil is thinned, and we had
Yeah,
that time that they called Christmas, and that's when the veil was thin. That was the solstice, that time period, 3 or 4 days in there.
yeah,
So during that time, the veil's thin, you make your communications, and then during this entire season, you go through those releasing processes to prepare yourself for the new year.
yeah, absolutely. Man, listen. So I don't know. Listen, my homeboy, my brother, he's like, we're talking the other day. We're building. He says, "Hey, man, I want to kind of talk to the people about all this flooding and predicted flooding that's alleged to come." And so we kind of got into a dialogue, and I say, "Hey, you remember we mentioned before we started talking about the cloud seeding and things like that. We kind of touched on, but didn't really go into um, some of the things that we witnessed during 2017. This was what 8 years ago, going on 9, uh, and how there was video during that time, footage on people's camera phones and whatnot of these." would look like drones or any, an aircraft or two flying through certain areas that ended up being hit with gallons and gallons of water in a matter of minutes to hours. So, I have some loved ones that live in the Houston area. Some were displaced. Their homes were damaged severely by Hurricane Harvey, and the aftermath really was the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey. The flooding wasn't really, from what we could gather, a direct result. You know what I'm saying, of the torrential rains in the hurricane. These were air, uh, suspended in midair bodies of water, or bodies of water suspended in midair in the form of vapor that were released, from what we believe, to have seen during that time period. Like I said, during some of this, footage, in the footage of some people, they captured, like, what appeared to be some crafts. And we're going to try to tie some of it all in together for you. For those of you who are into conspiracy theory, listen, I'm not one of those haters. I was around when the term actually meant there was evidence of a conspiracy, and that there was a scientifically provable explanation that would tie into such a plan, by a group of, conspirators, if you will. So, hey, thanks for joining us. Grab onto your seats, comment, like, share, subscribe, join in the fun. Check us out on our Rumble. It's Deeper Dives UNL, and you can go to join our locals. You can give us a donation there through that, or you can, also stay tuned, and we'll show you some other ways that you can, seed into our, ministry of sorts. So, without further ado, my dear brother, I'm gonna hand it off to you if you want to bring in this introduction of this fella. If you know what I'm talking about, the rain.
Oh yeah, yes, indeed. I know what you're. Yeah, okay. So, um, it's CEO of a company called Rainmaker was talking about some what are considered conspiracy theorist ideas. One that I found interesting from the clip that we're about to play, so you can have an understanding of what's going on right now and how it relates to Texas. He talked about solar radiation protection field. For all of my people who talked about the solar radiation increasing and how that may activate aspects of melanin, which is responsive to solar activity, and also build up energy within your own systems and all of those types of things. We've heard speculative theories about that, but it's interesting to note that in this video, it confirms the theories that they are actually repelling, blocking, and developing the technology to keep the sun from giving us that type of light. So yeah, check this out. Man.
I apologize. Let me cue that up one more time.
Oh yeah, no worries, no worries. It just I said man just because I thought about all of that energy that was coming in, supposed to be coming in, how we do solar gazing, how we do solar intakes with the solar plexus and all of the energy that would have been made available in the atmosphere, and just thinking about the potential of it being blocked is slightly frustrating. You know what I mean? It's slightly
Can you
frustrating.
absolutely? Can you hear this? Let me see. Can you see him? Oops. Uh-oh. Nope.
bill, which I think is well
There we
founded,
go.
but the current configuration of the bill that I think would
Sorry about
impede
that.
this mission
Let
for ending
me
water scarcity and also for bringing the best in.
try it
My name
one more time so you can hear his name. Okay. Augustus Dorico.
is Augustus Dorico. I'm the CEO and founder of Rainmaker. We're a cloud seeding company that is enhancing precipitation via advanced radar and also drones, for the sake of supplementing water supplies for farms, cities, reservoirs, and wildlife throughout the United States. Our ultimate vision is to end water scarcity, and we've begun that mission already. I'm testifying to not oppose the spirit of this bill, which I think is well-founded, but the current configuration of the bill that I think would impede this mission for ending water scarcity and also for bringing the best-in-class technology to Florida and the rest of the United States. And so the first point that I'd like to make is the difference between solar radiation management and cloud seeding. And so Senator Garcia did bring this up briefly. Solar radiation management is a very new technology. It's not something that's been tested at length. NOAA has done some very initial experiments on its efficacy. It is attempting to reduce the amount of solar radiation that makes it down to the planet by injecting reflective aerosols into the upper atmosphere. Once you inject these aerosols, they stay in the stratosphere for years. They have effects on the entire climate. The data from these experiments, because the experiments have been so few, is limited. And so the implications of them are not something that are well tested yet. Cloud seeding is all.
Go ahead.
No, that he said that it wouldn't be reversed for years. If he said it's in an experimentative process, very few experiments have been done. But he said once it's in the atmosphere, now we look at these chemtrails again, and we look at what they call cloud seeding and how they go out in those waves and things like that. And that cloud seeding, along with the chemtrails from that potentially having those substances in it that are solar protective, this means that those effects could last for years. Don't plants eat off the sun? Don't the way our rain system and air system currents work, don't they depend on solar exposure? Doesn't our physical body and the production of vitamin D and other activations and things, chemical processes that our bodies go through, they're aided by the sun? So what type of effects would this have on us for years?
We're about to explore another article connected to the same website of this company. So I'm glad you mentioned that. But we don't want to go too far into that aspect of it yet, because the plot thickens, brother. You know this. The plot thickens. Let him finish on this. And then we do not own the rights to these clips, by the way. This is via the Florida channel, whatever that is. Shout out to the Florida channel. This is not our footage, but we are doing a reaction for the purpose of supporting our topic of discussion.
Together different. The only similarity is that it has to do with the atmosphere. It has to do with the low atmosphere. It's a mechanism, or it's a tool that either freezes the water in existing clouds or condenses the droplets in existing clouds into bigger snowflakes or bigger droplets such that they fall onto your target watershed or farm. It's a technology that has existed for 80 years in the United States. It was patented by GE in 1946, but it hasn't been viable for a long time because we didn't have the appropriate radar to measure exactly what its effect is. I can tell you definitively that there is not cloud seeding going on in the state of Florida because you would be able to see its effect on radar. So the National Center for Atmospheric Research produced some great results from what's called the SNOWY campaign, where they were able to verify cloud seeding's effect, and they saw tens of millions of gallons of precipitation occur from each of their interventions, and that was very, very easily. And they saw tens of millions of gallons of precipitation occur from each of their interventions. Research produced some great results from what's called the SNOWY campaign, where they were able to verify cloud seeding's effect, and they saw tens of millions of gallons of precipitation occur from each of their interventions.
All right, I'm going to stop that right there. Did you caught that, right, sir?
Yeah, of course I caught it, Katrina. I sure did.
Millions of gallons in existence, 80 years plus. All right, so let's pause there. Okay, let's go here. Go back to this screen here. All right. Can you read that, brother, or is it too small for you on your screen? Let's see. There we go.
The chemtrail conspiracy theory. dogging the battle against drought.
Rainmaker updated
Rainmaker.
cloud seeding technology with drones and AI, but it's a target of people who believe the government is secretly manipulating the weather. Okay. Let's
People
see.
who believe the government is manipulating. Did he not just explain and define the way the weather is being manipulated?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Okay. How dare they call such truth revealers conspiracy theorists?
So let's see here. I don't know if they're going to let me read the article because I'm not going to subscribe. Okay, yeah. So I'll stop sharing that for just a moment here. Moving right along, but you can go to the website rainmaker.com/media if you'd
There,
like.
there's an additional factor with databases as well, and this whole um, fogs that they're experiencing over cities right now, that are staying for months or weeks at a time. People started complaining about it and talking about it. Well, if you look at the data centers waste, they produce CO2 and they use very large amounts of water, which evaporated water turns into clouds and then comes down as rain. So you have these data centers that are being cooled and producing CO2. So if you look at the areas that these fogs are occurring in, which is California, I know they had one. There was one spoken of over Austin, Texas. Um, if you look at these areas where these data centers are, it's interesting to note that all of the places where the fog remains, all of the places where these mists remain, are nearby or in the wind of data centers.
I apologize. I wasn't ready for you to go there just yet, but
No worries, no worries.
yeah,
It just made me think about it when he
yeah,
talked
no
about
problem.
that.
It's not a
Yeah.
problem. But yeah, that was the other part of what we discussed. That you wanted to bring to the attention of the audience too. So yeah, I was trying to get some data up on that. I'm still working on it. I did find increased fog conditions in the United States. Why thick fog is blanketing a record stretch of the U.S. Now, this is from last year, January, actually of almost 2 years ago to be January 25th, 2024. The lower 48 states is how they refer to it. Lowering visibility, disrupting flights, causing vehicle accidents, and even delaying schools. Um, yeah, I'll let you all look into that. I'll
Yeah,
let
yeah,
y'all look
yeah.
into
I just, yep. I didn't
that.
let them go down that road.
Because
Yeah.
that's gonna be a very interesting journey for you. Also, let's see here. Just see data. The U.S. Go ahead, brother. If you want to add anything.
Oh, I mean, no. That was it. I'm just saying that would also have an effect. You know what I'm saying? And then, I don't know who's in control of these companies. You know what I mean? So we don't know
Oh,
what all
oh,
the
you know. We won't say, but we'll let y'all take a peek.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you know. Uh,
Oh, yeah. So if you discover that, who's that, we don't know what all is in the waste that these data centers are producing. You know what I mean? And And I'm sure later on in the show, or maybe in another show, we'll get into the potential effects of nanotechnology. And if you're using water to cool something that's going to go back into conduit for, I mean, it produces toxins. So toxins can be released and they have an effect.
Yes. So it's just interesting there. You want to check out the locations, you can go to blackridgeresearch.com. Shout out to blackridgeresearch.com /blog /largest top biggest data centers in united states laist. Do with that what you will. Anyhow, we don't promote no conspiracy theories here. Anyhow, I want to talk about the next phase of this. Speaking of which, we'll just show you an article. I'm gonna just touch on this. We don't own any rights. We did not write this article. We're just sharing this for discussion, education, and entertainment purposes only. But this is from the Houston Public Media website, houstonpublicmedia.org /articles, etc., etc. Conspiracy theories or conspiracy theorists said cloud seeding caused the Texas floods. It did not. Experts say outlandish claims of weather manipulation are hindering disaster preparedness and emergency response. Okay. Until recently, one of the biggest controversies over cloud seeding, a method created to encourage rain, was whether it actually works. That's now been overshadowed by online theories blaming the technology for the deadly floods in Texas. Experts say falsehoods like these are spreading faster than ever after natural disasters, hurting emergency planning and response efforts. This is unprecedented in my experience, said Amber Silver, a professor in the Department of the Emergency Management and Homeland Security at SUNY Albany, who studies disaster communications. There's always been misinformation, clearly, but to this scale and to this degree, not in my memory. Okay. So, wow, we're seeing an exponential increase in misinformation and not understanding with the availability of information. That's plausible.
Yeah,
You know,
that part I can
yeah,
I ride with that.
that's
Yeah.
plausible. Yeah. So, Silver first noticed a sharp increase in the spread of acceptance of weather related conspiracy theories in 2024 after hurricanes Helene and Milton brought unprecedented and deadly flooding. Sorry, y'all, I'm a little under the weather. Deadly flooding to parts of the southeastern United States at that time. A false online rumor took hold that the government had set the hurricanes on their paths of destruction as an attack against red state voters. Cloud seeding is a method of combating drought by releasing tiny particles into clouds to spur rain. The technology doesn't create clouds, but it can increase the rain that falls from them in localized and limited circumstances. Okay, yeah, I can see that. Cloud seeding is a method of combating drought by releasing tiny particles into clouds to spur rain. The technology doesn't create clouds, but it can increase the rain that falls from them in localized and limited circumstances. Now, didn't that man say hundreds of millions of gallons of water?
Each time they intervene.
Documented? Did he say it was documented?
Yes,
And he
and
owns
then
a company that does this,
there's
right?
another clip of him saying 2 days previous to the flood, he released, oh goodness, I cannot think of the words. He released something into the atmosphere. The Rainmaker Company had released something into the clouds 2 days before these floods. It was like silver iodine or
Yeah, oh, yeah,
silver.
yeah. Silver, yeah, yeah. Yep, we're going to guess what silver, where is it? It's funny, this man's name is Silver in this article. speaking.
But yeah, that was 2
Oh,
days
here we go.
before.
We're going to quote him. Augustus Dorico, CEO of the cloud seeding company that was operating in Texas before the floods, also spoke out against the rumors. Dorico said he and his family have received death threats since the conspiracy theories took hold. A radar system maintained by a local news station in Oklahoma was also vandalized, apparently as a result of the falsehood. Silver said, another thing that is damaged by the online myth making is our scientific understanding about increasing extreme weather. Why would you want to increase extreme weather? Oh, I know. But before we get to that, he said he worries outlandish theories could interfere with people's understanding about how forecasting and warning systems operated in the lead up to last week's floods. That kind of information is crucial to improving communication during the next natural disaster.
I
Go ahead.
I saw him address that he released silver. I don't know if I'm saying iodine correctly, but I know silver is in it.
Yeah,
He released it into the
we're gonna look
atmosphere
it up here.
2 days previous to the flood in Texas. And so the flood in Texas, they like it came out of nowhere. It's like rivers in the sky.
Yeah, silver
If you
iodide.
silver
Yep,
iodine,
yep,
okay.
yep. Silver
So it was the
iodide.
right one.
A.
Iodide.
Yeah, AGI.
So that's what he released into Texas, not Florida, Texas, 2 days previous to the flood. So why do they use now? With that person said that they were using cloud seeding to go against the Republicans or something like that. That's
That's the
crazy. You know what I mean?
conspiracy
Talk.
part of it. Yeah. And it's funny
You know
these
what I mean?
days, there's always a right or left spin that would take even the most truest statement or accusation and make it false. Because just that aspect of it being the target reason or distractionary reason will make the
Yeah.
statement false, right? Um, but yeah, like you said, silver iodide, it says it's the most common seeding agent, not the only, the most common to conduct cloud seeding. AGI's molecular structure has the same physical shape, which is hexagonal, as naturally reoccurring ice. This incites the growth of ice particles and can be used to generate ice at warmer temperatures than naturally occurring ice. Hmm. So what would happen to that
Which
in the wintertime?
they had snow in. Oh goodness, they had a place. It just snowed somewhere where Australia.
Sure. Yeah.
It just recently snowed in Australia. They was real shocked by it occurring. They didn't, and they never had snow like that. They all outside in it and playing in it and stuff like that because it wasn't supposed to be happening like that. It bothers me that they say conspiracy theorists and then they say they may be confused about what's naturally occurring. Naturally occurring, what you're doing is not natural. What you're doing will have effects on the planet that at least last for years in accordance with what you just said. You said once it's up there for years having an effect on our atmosphere and things like that. You can't call that natural. You can't call people being confused about natural course of events when none of this is natural. This is being done, and then they're using nature as a reason. They're saying nature is gonna do this in the future by our prediction. So we're gonna take stances now to defend what's coming, and they can't even determine whether it wasn't a natural course of events. Now the course of events has been changed to an unnatural course of events that's affecting Texas and affecting other locations all over the world. And then he revealed that they've been doing this for 80 years. So they've had this tech for 80 years. So
Yeah,
that puts us
patented.
back in and patented. And so that puts us back to things like Katrina. That puts us back to things where we had there was suspect activity going on, because there were things happening underneath the surface. If you go back to Katrina, I hate to go here, but I'm going here. When you go back to Katrina, you have a congresswoman that says she had processed over 5,000 melanated men with single shots, and I'll say that and leave it there. And she said she processed this while Katrina was going on. So everybody concerned about Katrina, but nobody's talking about what's going on underneath it. And now, when I look back at situations like that, I know they had the technology to do the overlay for the underplay. But
we're gonna
I
get into that.
digress.
We're gonna get into that. Let me just.
That's what. I wish I knew that congresswoman name so I could give her a shout out. You know what I mean? For coming out like that and talking about it. Wonder if she's still with us. That's something to look up.
Cool. So let's take a look. Excuse me. Let's take a look at this. I own the footage. This footage is provided courtesy EMR Engineering. This is based on YouTube.
This is 140 billion gallons of water.
That's the Barker Dam. That's Attic Dam. Per second, 13,000. That's Houston. Excuse me. Video by Luke Abafi. Produced by Scott Blair. Yeah, so wow. So now we take a look at that drone's eye view of Houston during that time period. There's the naysayers. This isn't a conspiracy. This is not caused by interference with weather engineering or what they call geoengineering. Okay. Now here's the reason why some people who theorize there was a conspiracy believe that there's plausible reason and motivation for a conspiracy. Back in 1967, once again, this technology has existed since 1947. You would think with the use of technology, the creators or engineers of the technology would simply get better at using it. Would you not? Would you agree, brother?
Mm-hmm. Especially if you're doing experimentations in a lab, not with the planet you live on.
So Cloud seeding used in war. President Johnson approved cloud seeding as a military tool that started on March 20th, 1967, and included North and South Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos, and continued until mid 1972. 67 to 72. How many years is that, brother? That's 5 years, right?
Yep.
Okay. The teams involved in Project Popeye, as it was called, completed 2,602 flight missions and used 47,409 silver iodide flares. Now, what did we say we saw going off in the skies over Houston right before that flood? Would look like flashes, charges, or flares. That would explain it. Say what you want. Say that's not enough evidence for you. Say you haven't proved a damn thing. And I would agree with you. I haven't. I'm just talking. I'm just bouncing ideas out there around the universe for you to accept or reject and look into or just ignore, right?
Wait a minute. Was that a military operation
It
or was that a private operation?
what was going on during those years, I believe, was called the Vietnam War, right?
Ah, okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? Okay, I'm just checking. Yeah. Was it 1972 or 73 when the most honorable Elijah Muhammad left? I don't know. I mean, I'm not big on years, but I am big on years, and my memory's not perfect, but it's pretty good. But I'm just saying, during that period of time, there was a lot going on, right? And that would be a perfect opportunity in an obscure conflict that the world over disagreed with us being involved with, would not know about Project Popeye. You know
And then
what?
they say it ended in they said it ended in 72, but you got
Right.
Rainmaker over here, Powder. I mean, excuse me, Rainmaker over here utilizing the same technology in 2025.
Yep. Cloud seeding, method of rainmaking, in use since the 1940s. Look at that.
But I mean, and then when you say in use since the 1940s, man, it just opens up so many situations that were suspect. You know what I mean? Because of how they happened and where they were located, as far as flooding was concerned, almost like it could have potentially been weaponized to
Yeah.
go against people who were going against what they didn't feel was right. You know what I'm saying? And then if you do it by natural disaster, or you do it by, well, remember you said geoscience. This ain't just this. We're dealing with the floods, but this ain't just the floods that can be affected by this technology. This also has the potential to affect earthquake because they're using magnetic sciences, magnetism. So this has the potential to affect the plates. This has the potential to affect um, the iron deposits and other metal deposits inside of the earth. You know what I'm saying? So when you looking at earthquakes and when you looking at floods, just look at them with the lens down that there was companies operating that already had the potential to directly affect those circumstances.
I just want to cover this. Okay. Teams involved in Project Popeye. I just want to read this again. Completed 2,602 flight missions and used 47,409 silver iodide flares. The officials viewed this as a more ethical and covert approach to warfare, believing that causing heavy rainfall was a better alternative to using destructive substances like
What you said?
napalm. The secrecy of Project Popeye began to unravel in 1971 after the Washington Post got hold of a secret memo about it. Senator Claiborne Pell of Rhode Island, Senator Claiborne Pell of Rhode Island, persistent in his efforts, brought Pentagon officials to testify in a 1974 hearing, while Pell acknowledged that using rain as a weapon was more humane than bombs. He pointed out that the rudimentary nature of cloud seeding meant that any resulting floods or landslides would affect civilians as much as military personnel. He questioned the officials intensively about floods that had severely affected North Vietnam in 1971.
Okay. Do we take it there? Do we take it there? Do we take it to these cities that's at the end of these floodgates?
We showed them. I can show them again, but we showed them where the data centers are. Wink, wink. I just want to finish this last part. Upset members of the U.S. Senate passed a resolution urging the banning of environmental weapons in 1973, and by summer 1975, the Soviet Union and the United States had reached an agreement to not use weather as a weapon. Eventually, the federal government would declassify its Popeye documents, and international laws aimed at preventing similar projects would be on the books in 1978 at the United Nations. Called the Environmental Modification Convention. The international treaty bars any action undertaken by military or otherwise hostile forces that could result in earthquakes, tsunamis, an upset in the ecological balance of a region, changes in weather patterns, clouds, precipitation, cyclones of various types, and tornadic storms.
Yay.
Changes in climate patterns, changes in ocean currents, changes in the state of the ozone layer, and changes in the state of the ionosphere. They skip cloud seeding today. Cloud seeding is used to boost precipitation in at least 8 states across the western U.S. and dozens of countries around the world.
I mean, we can drop the mic here. We
Truly.
can.
Truly.
Bro, we don't even. I am on some level disgusted and on some level in amazement, because I have literally in my lifetime watched countries stand up to defend themselves against central banks and then be met with natural disasters. I have in my lifetime watched.
Stop playing. Keep on, brother. I'm egging you on.
I have literally watched the situation with Katrina have an underlying issue with the 5,000 melanated men who were processed, who were rising up against the tyranny that they were experiencing at the hands of their governing body in that state. They were politically standing up for themselves.
Not tyranny. Definitely. Authoritative rule. The rule of law.
the tyranny that they were experiencing. And then they went through that, and then a flood occurred. And then in North Carolina, in North Carolina, they had found those mineral deposits that were very beneficial to computer science, and computer data centers are going up all over the world. So they needed the rhodium. So the people weren't giving it up and denied them. And then magically, floods occurred all in that area that drove the people out.
I just want to share this before we move on and get towards the closing, but bear with me. I'm going to skip this commercial.
AI routine every morning. You'll be unrecognizable.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. This is Scott from the...
So you heard the name of the channel, Planet X News. This is not ours. It's being fair use. By fair use, we're going to play this for reaction purposes. But I just wanted to show you before we went into another part of the conspiracy about Harvey, the reality of these floating FEMA barges, as some people call them, portable prisons. But I want you to see what happens to people when these disasters not caused by outside interference. And you just think about this. An act of war is an act of war, whether it's carried out by a private corporation or an international corporation. End quote.
The Nibiru channel, September 19th, 2017. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I just couldn't help myself but to bring you this incredible report coming out of Texas, Houston, Texas, where Hurricane Harvey devastated the entire region. It is my firm belief that Hurricane Harvey, as well as Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Jose, and now Hurricane Maria, are part of a systematic weather warfare. The video interview that was from a news station down in Houston that I'm about to show you is going to hit at the pit of your heart and your stomach. Many of you probably don't believe that FEMA barges, prison barges, never existed. When the FEMA prison train cars were shown widely across the internet and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, a lot of you didn't believe that these vehicles, these prisons on wheels existed. Just want to do FEMA barges capable of housing like and are prison barges. Some people just want to stand there in complete disbelief. They don't want to admit to what is actually happening. But now you're going to see real FEMA barges that literally look like.
Once again, this is for reaction purposes, but it is tied into our topic: the wind, the water, the wheels. Teaser part 2.
And are prison barges. We're going to go ahead and move into this report. If you look over here, follow my cursor. Well, this is a picture of a 4-story FEMA barge. barge. It states here 2 FEMA barges capable of housing hundreds of Hurricane Harvey evacuees are on their way to Port Arthur, Texas. This lady here, Gwendolyn Donahue, she's not too happy about where she's going to be placed. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to get right into this report. And this should be an eye-opener. And this is the precursor of what is going down in this country. And it should be about time that each and every one of you open up your eyes. Take the blinders off.
To live from shelter to
It's happening right in front of you. Let's listen.
to live from shelter to shelter is just hard enough. But at this moment, right now you're talking about putting me on a barge.
Gwendolyn Donahue is not happy with the temporary housing coming to Port Arthur. She was rescued from her home during Harvey and is currently staying at the Red Cross shelter at the Thomas Jefferson Middle School. The next place she lives could look like this. It's a barge, and FEMA is providing 2 of these that will hold about 300 people each on the port of Port Arthur.
But I'll say again, I'm not a fish, I'm not a crab, I'm not a shrimp, because I don't know nothing about being on a boat.
You are an
Is the
indigenous.
to arrive in 2 days, but County Judge Jeff Brannick says other options are being.
Ooh,
Go ahead.
I just say that notice her complexion. I say notice the areas that they're putting the data
This is
centers
day
in.
one of my
Notice-
husband doing Tai Chi walking.
Notice the areas affected by the floods. If they were to break, the water gates were to break and things like that. Please pay attention to the people who are at the bottom affected by those flood waters when they happen. Please notice the racial makeup of those people who are affected, because they owned land. They held on to land. They stayed on land regardless to who wanted them to move. They fought for land. And once upon a time, we had forced migration. And that type of warfare is ended. And a new type of warfare has begun, allegedly for entertainment purposes only.
It is your land, but the government is flooding it. Is just compensation available in eminent domain? What is eminent domain? The eminent domain refers to the power of the government to take private property and convert it into public use, referred to as a taking. The Fifth Amendment provides that the government may only exercise this power if they provide just compensation to property owners. The property acquired must be taken, A, for public use. The state must pay just compensation in exchange for the property. No person must be deprived of his or her property without due process of law. It is your land, but the government is flooding it. Is just compensation available in eminent domain?
Jay, is a private prison public? Not a public prison? Is that considered public use?
Oh, before we go there, let's just explore what happens and what you were saying. I appreciate what you're saying as an indigenous person about the people who are of a hue, human beings. I'm not calling anyone non-human, just saying anyone with a hue, which would describe most people, right? Melanin is not exclusive to one branch of humanity, but we do notice that there are the typical actions against those who would be of a richer melanin content subdurally. Sorry, I'm using big words. I mean, people with darker skin tend to get hit up more in these situations. But they're not the only ones that get hit up. So everyone should pay attention to this. So this article is on a site called Vorys.com, Vorys. Just discovered this earlier today. But it says it is your land, but the government is flooding it. Is just compensation available in eminent domain? Just brought this up to illuminate, right? A point, right, brother, that we were discussing. Sadly, flooding happens throughout the United States of America. Flooding farmland, residences, commercial buildings, etc. From small towns to big cities, it can affect anyone. Flooding often is caused by natural disasters. But unfortunately, past flood events have also been caused or worsened by federal, state, and local governments' actions or inactions. What if it's a private company that's contracted by your local, state, or federal government?
Then that is horror. The implications of that is horrifying, because that would mean that you figure out what that would mean. You figure out what that would mean. That,
So this can come from dam management or reservoir management. It can come from road construction projects or even from flood control projects that in reality make the flooding risk greater for some individuals. For some individuals. Projects that in reality make the flood risk greater for some individuals. When the government floods your land under the United States Constitution and under state constitutions or other laws, a landowner may be entitled to just compensation in eminent domain proceedings.
is there a city underneath that park in New York?
Central Park?
Central Park. Is there a city up
Sure.
underneath there?
Sure.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just checking.
Sure.
Just checking. In Detroit, some of these freeways and stuff that they got is over cities that was predominantly black. They called them Black Pearl, and they called it Pearl Alley and stuff like that. And literally,
Right.
they had disaster there, flooding there, and they had to cover it up. And then when they covered it up, they put freeways over the top of it. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that they are related. I'm just, these are the things that are popping up in my mind as we're talking.
I mean, Harper Woods. I mean, Potawatomi, Wyandotte, Huron, Anishinaabe, Chippewa.
Oh, wait. When then the national parks here in Michigan, since we're going down that road, the national parks here in Michigan, when you pull in them, they have streets and Mohawk and Potawatomi Lane or Algonquin Lane and Road, all up and through these public eminent domain.
We're talking about the same people and the same process of elimination. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Pearl Alley ain't no different from Potawatomi Lane. Harper Woods ain't no different than Negro Wall Street. But when the government floods your land under the United States Constitution and under state constitutions or other laws, a landowner may be entitled to just compensation in eminent domain proceedings. Just compensation is a fundamental right and is recognized as such in the Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution. It ensures that while the government can take private property for public use by way of eminent domain, it must justly compensate the landowner for doing so. Experience shows that when the government floods private land, it does not always recognize its responsibility and duty to compensate private landowners for the flooding. I'll repeat that. Experience shows that when the government floods private land, it does not always recognize its responsibility and duty to compensate private landowners for the flooding. When this happens, private landowners must consider whether they have an action against the government in inverse condemnation. Inverse condemnation is the right to recover just compensation against the government when it takes private land without formally exercising the power of eminent domain. Flooding can be a taking, giving the government the right to ongoing flooding of private land. They could turn your whole neighborhood into a lake.
That would
Welcome,
mean that they took
welcome
it
back.
out of the government's hands, put it into private owners' hands, and then funded it by the government in order to reduce their responsibilities.
They wouldn't do nothing like that,
Hmm.
would they?
Hmm. Hmm.
I can't see them doing something like that. Could you? I mean, flooding can be a taking. Wait, let's go back to that. Eminent domain. The Fifth Amendment. Wait, the power of the government to take private property and convert it into public use, referred to as a taking. Wait a minute. Flooding can be a taking, giving the
Mm-hmm.
government the
Mm-hmm.
right to ongoing flooding of private land. When considered pursuing an inverse condemnation claim against the government for flooding, the following are generally important points for the landowner to think about. Do you want to live? I'm sorry. Do you want your loved ones to be safe? Oh, wait, excuse me, I don't know where that came from. Has the flooding happened only one time? If so, has the flooding left a permanent invasion? That word. The most obvious example is the flooding has carved a new channel in an existing body of water through an owner's property. If a single flood has occurred and receded without a permanent invasion, then have there been multiple floods? If there have been multiple floods and you want your family to live, then how many, how long, how often, what impacts to the property have there been? Any impact to structures? Does the source of flooding remain such as a dam or reservoir so that a future flooding is likely? For periodic flooding to continue a taking, it generally must be frequent and severe enough to be more than minor trespass. If the land had some flooding prior to any government action or inaction that itself caused flooding, how does the government flooding differ in frequency, duration, and extent of impact? It depends on how much rain they drop. For both permanent and intermittent flooding, allegedly, could the government have foreseen its flooding? I'm gonna let y'all check that article out. Voorhees, Vorys, Voorhees. Check out the definition of eminent domain on your own time. I didn't even realize you had disappeared.
No, I just
You are
dropped.
back
I
now.
just dropped for a couple seconds. But I mean, really, what we have covered is I don't even know what to say. I mean, there's no. It takes the conspiracy out of conspiracy theory for as far as flooding is concerned. And
Would you mind reading for these people the definition of land grabbing?
okay, land grabbing occurs both legally and illegally when current laws, most land grabs are actually legal, meaning the deals obey national and local laws. However, these current laws do not protect against land grabs in most cases, at least tolerate land grabbing, if not help it. Ooh, this would we have got I have got to run because I've got some things to accomplish.
Indeed,
But
same here. But yeah, absolutely, brother. Go ahead.
I just have to say this. That would mean that all of this land that they take through taxes and other means by which they acquire land, when people won't bow down to those or discover ways of remedy outside of giving up their land or giving up their estate, I wonder if that's when they experience these pressures, these natural, what they call naturally occurring weather patterns, to move them out of locations like, and then
let's say conceivably they could.
Yes.
And though it be a hidden hand, there may be a hand held responsible or not, depending on how well hidden the hand is. And essentially there may or may not be compensation. It just may be a total loss for an entire community. Allegedly.
Potentially,
and allegedly.
But and then I know we're about to end now, but I want to say to you, I almost broke down in tears earlier because of the scientific nature of my mind and the effects of solar radiation reducing reflective particles on us, on the plant life, on the animal life, just so many potential effects that has, that we will definitely explore that on another show. But that hurt my heart. That almost brought tears to my eyes. Children of the sun, those people who call themselves children of the sun, that should be that's unholy. That's just I'll leave it. That is terrible.
Just to show, just briefly before you have to go. Thanks. See what they did? Okay. Yep. So they covered up the title, but I don't see where to get rid of the ad. But yeah, here it is.
Oh, and you put that mother sucker's name.
This is from 2021, but it happened in 2019. Yep.
And
so
you got that mother sucker. You got that mother sucker's name up there, and it's the data centers who's producing the problem. And the data centers are connected to the internet. The internet's connected to the.
So check this out, y'all. Look, check this article out. It's in Forbes. Yeah, sun dimming technology. Look up calcium carbonate. Yeah, look up Swedish Space Corporation. Yep. And look up David Keith, a professor, not the actor, because there's a black actor, African American actor, David Keith.
Then I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna hit you with some take into account the Fifth Element movie.
Oh,
and pay attention to the fog in the Fifth Element movie. The low atmospheric fog in the Fifth Element.
Indeed, you've been tuned into Beyond the Veil, an unusual podcast. The host, Jay.Drewz, the co-host, Black Sun Shaman. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you to all our new subscribers and our loyal subscribers. Please like, share, and subscribe out the content. Please credit us if you quote us directly, or else it's plagiarism. More to come on that. Legal front. We'll contact you maybe twice, ask you to take it down, or credit us. We're not greedy, but you shouldn't be making money off of our content before we do. Love y'all. Thanks for joining us. Been a great show, brother.
Yes, it has.
You hit me up when you get a chance later on. And peace, y'all.
All right. Peace, y'all.